This is Max and Mia podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode.
So, today we're going full advanced English. This episode is built for anyone who wants to put their English to the test and see where they actually stand.
And if you feel like you're still somewhere in the intermediate range, don't click away. Honestly, stay with us. Take it as a challenge.
You're not supposed to catch everything perfectly. That's kind of the point. You push a little, you pick things up along the way.
Exactly. So here's what we've got lined up today. 3 topics: human attributes, feelings and reactions, and bonds and relationships.
And as we move through each one, we'll be pulling in vocabulary, expressions, idioms, the kind of stuff that'll actually help you sound more natural in English.
All right, let's get into it.
So, human attributes. This is one of those topics that sounds simple at first, right? Like, we've all been describing people since the very beginning.
Exactly. And I think most of us already have a solid base here. Words like shy, friendly, confident, stubborn, those come pretty naturally at this point.
Yeah, those are words you've probably been using for years. And they work. They do the job. But today we want to go a step further.
Because there's a whole layer of vocabulary that goes beyond the basics. Words like resilient, manipulative, empathetic, pretentious. Words that let you describe people in a much more precise and interesting way.
And here's something to think about before we dive in. How would you describe yourself in English? Not just I'm friendly or I'm hardworking, but really if someone asked you to describe your personality in depth, what words would you reach for?
Or think about someone close to you, a friend, a family member. Could you describe them accurately in English? Like, really capture who they are?
Those are the kinds of descriptions we want you to be able to make by the end of this section.
All right, so to kick things off, we're going to listen to a conversation between 2 characters, Elliot and Jane. They're catching up after a while without seeing each other, and naturally, they end up talking about people they both know.
Now, the conversation is going to move at a pretty natural pace, and there will be words in there that might be new to you. That's fine. Don't stop. Don't rewind just yet. Try to follow the context, use what's around the word to figure out what it means. That's actually a really important skill in itself.
Let's listen.
It's been way too long, honestly. Where do I even start?
I know. Okay, catch me up. How's the new team? Are you still enjoying it?
It's a mixed bag, honestly. So there's this new guy, Marcus, and look, he's genuinely brainy, like the kind of person who reads academic papers on his lunch break just for fun, which I actually respect.
Okay, but I'm sensing a but coming.
Yeah, he can be really harsh. Like, he says exactly what he thinks with zero filter. And half the time, people walk away feeling kind of crushed. And on top of that, he's pretty judgmental. Someone makes one small mistake and he's already decided they're not cut out for the job, just completely written them off.
That sounds exhausting. Is there anything redeeming about him at all?
Okay, yes, actually. When he's in a good mood, he's surprisingly jolly, like genuinely warm, cracks jokes, brings coffee for the whole team. That's the confusing part. You never know which version of him you're going to get that morning.
That's almost worse in a way. At least if someone's consistently difficult, you know how to deal with them.
Exactly. You just can't read him. Anyway, enough about Marcus. How are you doing? How's everything with your crowd?
Well, Sarah and I aren't really talking anymore.
Wait, what? Since when?
A few months ago, it came out that she'd been telling me one thing and telling everyone else something completely different. She was being totally duplicitous about this whole situation in our friend group, just saying whatever was convenient depending on who she was talking to.
Wow. I mean, honestly, I always got a slightly conceited vibe from her, like she always seemed to think she was the most important person in any room, but I didn't think she'd actually go that far.
The hardest part is that I was so reluctant to see it. I kept making excuses for her because we'd been close for so long. I just didn't want it to be true, you know?
That makes total sense. It's genuinely difficult when someone you've trusted for years turns out to be completely different from who you thought they were.
Yeah, she's out of the picture now, which is fine. It has to be fine.
And how are you actually doing with it?
I'm getting there. Some days are better than others.
Well, for what it's worth, everyone who actually knows you knows how faithful you are. You show up for people, you keep your word. Not everyone does that.
Okay, stop. I'm going to cry in public, and I refuse to do that.
Sorry. Total subject change. Did you hear about Tom?
Oh no, what happened now?
He walked into that new home decor place on 5th and somehow managed to knock over an entire display stand, knocked over a whole shelf of ceramic stuff, just completely gone.
He is such a butterfingers. I love that man, but he genuinely cannot hold on to or walk past anything without causing a disaster.
He sent me a voice note right after, and I must have replayed it 5 times. I was in tears.
That is so him. Okay, I really needed this today. It's good to see you, Elliot.
Yeah, it really is. Let's not leave it so long next time.
Deal.
All right, so how did that go for you? Be honest with yourself. Was it comfortable? Did you catch most of it? Or were there moments where you felt like the conversation was moving just a little too fast?
Because that's okay if it was. That's actually kind of the point. Real conversations don't slow down for you, and the more you expose yourself to that, the more natural it starts to feel.
Now let's talk about some of the words that came up. The first one we want to highlight is brainy. Elliot used it to describe Marcus, and from the context you probably got that it means someone who's very intelligent, very sharp. It's informal. It's the kind of word you'd use in a casual conversation rather than, say, a job interview.
Then we had harsh. And this one's interesting because it's not just about being mean. It's more about being blunt in a way that's a bit too heavy, too direct. Like there's no softness to it at all.
Judgmental came up too, which is one of those words that really does a lot of work. When you say someone's judgmental, you're saying they form strong opinions about people very quickly, usually negative ones, without really knowing the full picture.
We also got duplicitous, which is a more formal, more sophisticated word. Jane used it to describe Sarah, and from the context, you could tell it means someone who says one thing and does another. 2 faces, basically.
And then Butterfingers at the end, which is a really fun one. It refers to someone who's always dropping things, always having little accidents. It's affectionate more than anything, the kind of thing you say about someone you like.
So, how many of those did you already know? 2? 4? All of them? And more importantly, for the ones you didn't know, did the conversation give you enough to figure them out?
That's the skill we're trying to build here. Not just vocabulary, but the ability to keep up even when something's unfamiliar.
All right, let's keep moving. So our second topic today is feelings and reactions. And this one, I'd argue, is probably the most personal of the 3.
Because everyone has feelings. That part's obvious. But being able to talk about them in another language, with precision, with nuance, that's a completely different challenge.
In English, it's really easy to get stuck on the basics. I'm happy. I'm sad. I'm angry. And those work, sure, but they don't really capture what's actually going on inside, do they?
Like, There's a big difference between feeling nervous and feeling dread, or between being surprised and being completely taken aback by something.
And reactions are just as important. How you respond to a situation, how you show what you're feeling, whether you hold it in or you let it out. That's all part of this.
So here's something to think about. When something really gets to you emotionally, do you feel like you have the words in English to explain it? Not just the feeling itself, but why and how it hit you.
That's what this section is really about. Getting more specific, more expressive.
All right, so for this one, we're handing things over to Bonnie and Charles. They're having a conversation that gets pretty real, pretty quickly. There's a situation, there's a reaction, and there's a lot going on beneath the surface.
Here we go.
I don't even know where to start. I've been on edge all week and I can't shake it.
On edge how? Like generally anxious, or is something specific going on?
Both, honestly. Okay, so you know the situation with my manager, right?
The one who took credit for your project. Yeah.
She did it again with the Henderson account, and I found out, not from her, not from anyone on my team, but from someone in a completely different department.
Bonnie, that's awful.
And the thing is, the first time it happened, I told myself maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I hadn't made it clear enough whose work it actually was. But now, I feel completely vindicated, like everything I suspected was true and I wasn't imagining any of it.
Of course you weren't. I told you that months ago.
I know, and I should feel better knowing that, right? But honestly, I just feel gutted. That hollow, heavy kind of feeling where you've been let down so many times that it stops being surprising and just becomes exhausting.
How did you react when you first found out?
I was completely rattled, like my hands were actually shaking. I had to leave the office and walk around the block a few times because I knew if I went back in right then, I'd say something I couldn't take back.
Honestly, that was the smart move.
It didn't feel smart. It felt like I was about to fall apart. And then later, when I calmed down a little, I just went numb, like all the emotions switched off at once. I couldn't even cry. I just sat there staring at nothing.
That happens. Sometimes there's just too much to process and your brain kind of shuts the door for a bit. It's a lot to absorb.
Yeah, and now I'm sitting with this really conflicted feeling because part of me wants to go straight to HR and file a formal complaint, and the other part is scared of what that means for my position, for my relationships with the rest of the team.
That's not an easy call. It's not black and white.
And if I'm being really honest, there's a part of me that's just deeply resentful, not just toward her, but toward the whole environment that allowed this to keep happening. People knew Charles. Some of them had to have known.
Yeah, that part's hard to sit with.
How would you feel if this were you, genuinely?
Honestly, I'd be distraught, like truly shaken to the core, because it's not just the unfairness of it, it's the betrayal layered on top. Someone looking you in the eye every single day knowing what they did.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And I keep going back and forth between being exasperated, that slow burning fury where you just can't believe this is still happening, and then just feeling completely flat, empty.
Have you talked to anyone else about it? Anyone at work?
No, and I think that's part of why it's been eating at me. I've been carrying it alone all week, and it just gets heavier every day.
Well, I'm glad you told me, and whatever you decide to do, I've got your back. That's not going anywhere.
That helps more than you know.
Good. Now, serious question. Have you eaten today? Because you look like you haven't eaten today.
Oh my God, only you.
I'm completely serious. You cannot navigate a workplace crisis on an empty stomach. It's just not possible.
Fine, let's go eat.
Okay, so that one hit a little differently, didn't it? It wasn't just a casual catch-up. There was real weight to that conversation.
And that's exactly what makes it so useful for this topic. Because when feelings get complicated, the vocabulary has to keep up.
Let's go through some of the key words. On edge was the first one Bonnie used, right at the start. And from the context, you could probably tell it means feeling tense, restless, like something's about to go wrong, but you're not quite sure what.
Then there was vindicated. That's a really satisfying word when you understand it. It means that something has confirmed you were right all along. Your instincts, your suspicions, your version of events. Vindicated.
Gutted is one of my favorites because it really captures that deep disappointment. Not just, I'm sad. More like, the feeling has hollowed you out a little. It's heavy and empty at the same time.
Rattled came up too, and that's different from just being upset. When you're rattled, you're shaken, like your composure is gone and you can't quite get it back.
And then distraught toward the end, which Charles used. That's a stronger, more formal word for being deeply distressed, really broken up about something.
What's interesting about this conversation is that it doesn't just use one or two emotional words, it layers them. On edge, gutted, rattled, numb, resentful, exasperated, distraught. That's the kind of emotional range that makes English feel alive.
So think about your own language for a second. When you're upset, do you have more than one word for it in English? Or do you always reach for the same one?
That's the challenge. And honestly, that's the whole point of this section. All right, one more topic to go.
Okay, last one. And honestly, I think this might be the most interesting of the three.
Bonds and relationships. And look, on the surface, this might sound like the simplest topic. Like we all have relationships. We all have people we're close to, people we've drifted from, people who've shaped us in ways we're still figuring out.
But here's the thing. Talking about those connections in a deep, meaningful way. That takes a very specific kind of vocabulary.
Because there's a huge difference between saying we're close and actually capturing what that closeness looks like. The history behind it, the way it's changed over time, the things that tested it.
And the same goes for relationships that fell apart, or ones that are complicated, or ones that are hard to label.
Think about it. Is there someone in your life you'd describe as a kindred spirit? Someone who just gets you without much explanation?
Or maybe there's someone you've grown apart from. Not because of a fight, not because of anything dramatic, just life happened and the distance grew.
Those are real nuanced experiences. And today we want to give you the vocabulary to talk about them in English.
All right, so to close things out, we've got one final conversation. This one's between Monica and George. They haven't seen each other in a while either. And what starts as a pretty light conversation gradually gets a little deeper.
Same approach as before. Let the conversation carry you. If something's unfamiliar, lean on the context around it. You might surprise yourself.
Let's listen.
Okay, I have to say, this place hasn't changed at all. Same tables, same smell, same slightly uncomfortable chairs.
That's exactly why I suggested it. Some things should just stay the way they are.
I agree. So, how long has it been? 2 years?
2.5, which is kind of insane when I say it out loud.
It really is. Okay, catch me up. How's everything going with you?
Honestly, better than I expected. Moving to a new city, starting over, it all felt really daunting at first, like I was cutting ties with everything familiar. But I think I needed that. I was too comfortable, and comfort was making me stagnant, you know? Like I wasn't really growing, just existing.
That takes guts, though.
Not everyone would do that. Most people cling to what they know even when it's not really working for them anymore.
Yeah, and I think part of me knew that if I stayed, I'd end up resenting the place, resenting the people around me, and that felt worse. I didn't want to turn bitter.
Do you miss it at all, the old life?
Parts of it. I miss the familiarity, that feeling of just knowing where everything is, who everyone is. There's something really comforting about that. But I don't miss who I was becoming there.
That's a really honest thing to say.
Well, I've had 2.5 years to think about it. What about you? You stayed.
I stayed, and look, I don't regret it, but I'd be lying if I said things haven't shifted. Like some of those friendships I thought were rock solid, they've just faded. Not dramatically, no falling out, nothing like that, just a slow drift. You stop being in the same rhythm as someone, and before you know it, you're basically strangers who occasionally like each other's photos online.
Yeah, that kind of loss is strange because there's nothing to point to, no moment where it went wrong.
Exactly. It just unravels. And then you realize the bond was more circumstantial than you thought, like it was built on proximity more than anything real.
Has that been hard?
At first, yeah. But I think it also made me more intentional about the people I do invest in. Like, I'm more selective now. Not in a cold way, just I'd rather have a handful of reciprocal relationships, people who genuinely show up, than a wide circle of surface-level connections.
Reciprocal. That's the word, isn't it? I think that's what I was missing before. Everything felt very one-sided for a while. I was always the one reaching out, always the one making the effort.
That's draining in a way that's hard to explain to people who haven't felt it.
It really is. You start to feel invisible almost, like you're invested in people who are just indifferent to whether you're there or not.
And at some point, you have to make peace with it, not because it didn't matter, but because holding on to that kind of resentment only weighs you down.
When did you get so wise?
2.5 years of figuring things out while you were gone, apparently.
Clearly, I should have left sooner, made you do all the growing for both of us.
Oh, stop. I'm really glad you're back, George, even just for a few days.
Me too. This was exactly what I needed.
Okay, that one had a different kind of energy, didn't it? A little quieter, a little more reflective. But there was a lot happening under the surface.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it such good material for this topic. Because bonds and relationships don't always involve big dramatic moments. Sometimes it's just two people being honest about the quiet ways life has changed them.
Let's go through some of the vocabulary. The first one we want to pull out is daunting. George used it when he talked about starting over. And from the context, you probably got that it means something that feels intimidating, overwhelming before you even begin. It's not impossible, just a lot.
Then there was stagnant. That's a really vivid word. When something's stagnant, it's not moving, not developing, like still water that's been sitting too long. George used it to describe how he felt before the move, and it really lands.
Circumstantial is a more formal one. Monica used it to describe friendships built on proximity rather than anything deeper. Circumstantial means something that exists because of the situation, not because of real intention or genuine connection.
Reciprocal came up, and that's a word worth holding on to. It means mutual, both sides giving equally. A reciprocal relationship is one where the effort, the care, the investment flows in both directions, not just one person carrying everything.
And indifferent at the end. George used it to describe people who didn't really notice whether he was around or not. Indifferent means having no strong feeling either way. Not negative, not positive. Just unbothered. And sometimes that's the most painful kind of response to get from someone.
What's great about this conversation is that it covers the full spectrum. The drifting, the one-sided effort, the peace you eventually make with it. That's real relationship vocabulary.
So, think about your own circle for a second. Could you describe those dynamics in English now? The people who are reciprocal, the ones who've drifted, the connections that turned out to be more circumstantial than you thought?
That's the goal. Not just knowing the words, but having them ready when you actually need them.
All right, I think that brings us to the end of today's episode.
So, we covered a lot of ground today. Human attributes, feelings and reactions, bonds and relationships. 3 topics, 3 conversations, and a whole lot of vocabulary.
And honestly, if you made it this far, that says something. This wasn't an easy episode. It was designed to stretch you a little. And if you felt that, good. That means it's working.
The best thing you can do now is go back. Re-listen to the conversations, notice the words in context, and try using some of them yourself, even if it's just in your head.
Because that's how it sticks. Not from a list, but from actually seeing how the word lives inside a real exchange.
If you enjoyed this one, share it with someone who's also working on their English. And if you've got topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, let us know.
We'll be back soon. Until then, keep listening, keep pushing, and we'll see you in the next one.
Take care. To keep taking your English to the next level, click on the next video or explore the others we've made for you.